Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a new episode of the Metal Meltdown. Just a heads up, I can now finally confirm and announce that I will be hosting a live, super chill 420 celebration party and live stream right here on the Metal Meltdown on April 20th at approximately 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be there. My regular co-host for the evening, Dark Moon Desires, will be there. We will also have a special guest for the evening, a Toronto blogger, model, and artist by the name of House of Horror. And we're just gonna fucking chillax and hang out and shoot the motherfucking shit. Maybe play some stupid fucking video games. Who knows, man? All I know for sure is it's gonna be a weird fucking night, because quite frankly, these streams always eventually devolve into utter fucking insanity and madness. So once again, 420 party and live stream, April 20th, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be there or be fucking square. LTE3 is the third studio album from this American progressive rock supergroup, Liquid Tension Experiment. And let me be very clear here, Liquid Tension Experiment has absolutely earned the title of supergroup because there is an unbelievable amount of iconic and legendary talent here. On guitar and keyboards respectively, you've got John Petrucci and Jordan Rudess from prog metal titans Dream Theater. On percussion, we have a former member of Dream Theater, Mike Portnoy, also known for his work with a variety of other projects, including, but not limited to, The Winery Dogs, Sons of Apollo, Adrenaline Mob, Twisted Sister, Avenged Sevenfold, and many fucking more. And rounding out the whole thing on bass guitar, we have Tony Levin, a gentleman who, believe it or not, has worked on a slew of iconic records from Paul Simon, Art Garfunkel, Buddy Rich, Lou Reed, Herbie Mann, David Bowie, Pink Floyd, Alice Cooper, John fucking Lennon, but still is perhaps best known by prog rock nerds and fanboys for his long-time associations with King Crimson and Peter Gabriel. So yeah, a lot of fucking talent, to put it bluntly. Talent that is absolutely utilized on this album. No argument otherwise. Anyone attempting to argue otherwise had better put their money where their fucking mouth is. I want to see what y'all can fucking play if you think these motherfuckers can't. As such, I am not going to argue that anything on this album is incompetent, because that simply isn't the fucking case. Instead, I am going to argue that parts of it are unnecessary, and that the project as a whole doesn't really capitalize on its full potential. See, I personally view progressive rock and progressive metal, and for that matter any type of progressive music, as theater. And as such, I treat it like theater. It should be elaborate, evocative, exciting, extravagant, all kinds of other E-words. As such, just like theater, I'm fine with progressive rock and progressive metal being a little bit more over the top, melodramatic, even pretentious at times. It's part of the fun, even. So long as it all makes sense in context of that theatrical experience, fuck it. Who fucking cares, dude? And my problem with LTE3 is that I've been sold a Broadway theater experience, but what I have received is a very impressive and flashy fireworks show. Fireworks displays are flashy, but don't necessarily have substance and are hardly the reason you spent thousands of dollars to go to Disney World. Fireworks displays are all sizzle and no steak. So while LTE3 is inarguably very flashy, objectively very pretty, it unfortunately lacks substance of any kind. I leave the record having really gained nothing from it, and as such I have no reason to return to it. Now, this isn't to say that there is no fun to be had whatsoever, quite the opposite. Your very first playthrough of this record is very likely going to be an exhilarating ride, particularly if you are a true prog rock fanboy. The opening track, Hypersonic, for instance, is a flurry of classic prog rock, guitar riffs and solos and melodies intertwined with funky keyboards and wild bass parts, and the iconic percussive insanity of Mike Portnoy. Similarly, the track Beating the Odds is filled with so many triumphant, spacey synthesizers and guitar licks that it could have easily been mistaken for the theme song to some kind of extravagant sci-fi anime. And then there's something like The Passage of Time, which truthfully doesn't feel too far off from the kind of epic prog metal that Dream Theater used to create in their heyday. Like I said, very pretty fireworks. My problem is, I'm getting literally nothing out of this fireworks display on my second listen, my third listen, my fourth listen, and so on and so forth. It's just not as fun anymore. The music very quickly loses its luster, and this is without even mentioning the fact that much like any fireworks display, some fireworks don't shine quite as bright as others. Take, for instance, Chris and Kevin's amazing Odyssey, which almost feels like prog rock's long-awaited but completely unnecessary answer to something like Anesthesia Pulling Teeth. It is certainly intriguing, especially in how Liquid Tension Experiment quite successfully emulate the sound of like an Eru or an electric cello, but the track never actually evolves to anything. It never progresses into anything, and call me crazy, but I feel like progressive rock should progress into something. You know? It's literally in the fucking name. You also have tracks like Liquid Evolution and Shades of Hope, which opt to layer some elaborate musicianship on top of some more minimalistic soundscapes, the former of which kind of sounding like a mishmash of ideas left over from like Peter Gabriel and Phil Collins, whereas the latter has the glitz, the glamour, the stride of an 80s power ballad with some neoclassical flourish. And that's fine, in theory, I suppose, but in execution, once again, these tracks don't really evolve or progress into anything. They stand out entirely as filler, and as such, the most generic and unnecessary material on the album. And then there's Rhapsody in Blue, which, to its credit, comes the closest to actually capturing the theatrical ambitions that I would normally expect of prog rock and prog metal, but in the process gets a little bit too weird and a little bit too funky for its own fucking good, to the point where it completely loses my attention almost as quickly as it captures it. I'm unfortunately gonna go with a 2.5 out of 5. I genuinely wish I could go a little higher, even if just because of the raw talent on this thing, but in doing so, I would be pretending that I got more out of this than I actually did, and I don't really feel like lying to you all. I'm certain that this album will be a huge hit amongst the prog rock nerds and fanboys. In fact, I imagine as I speak right now, they're masturbating in their little fucking chairs to the simple thought of this, while using their other hand to type out exactly why I'm 100% objectively, factually incorrect. If you are by chance a more casual listener simply looking for some fun, high-octane guitar, keyboard, and percussive pyrotechnics, then by all means, maybe this is indeed the album for you. But personally, I'm ready to move on to an actual prog rock spectacle, whilst moving away from this temporary prog rock sizzle. 2.5 out of 5, it's okay, by no means terrible, but it could have been a hell of a lot better. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I'm not an expert, nor do I claim to be, so what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? And thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown fucking immediately. And as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.